About 20. Awesome. Hey guys, thanks for coming in with Comfy with Impetus today. Today I got Ethan Abramson, a guy that I follow on Instagram a lot, which he does a lot of projects on furniture making and woodworking. As you guys know him, it's the Build with Ethan. So, Ethan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Great intro. I'm really happy to be on here. I am, like you said, a furniture maker. I also make content for furniture. I do anything. I have two different sections. I do custom, so anything from bedside tables all the way up to full brownstone renovations. And the other side of my line is my line of furniture, my collection. We sell in stores across the country. It's featured in museums, homes, and other fancy places across the world. And on the content side, like you said, Instagram, The Build with Ethan. And I also do internal content for a lot of companies. And I host a lot of woodworking and tool events across the country.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen Build with Ethan before, if you look at his page, he has a lot of places he goes to. And one of the places I've met him actually was Residio, where Honeywell had their launch. And I think he's also in World of Concrete and all the other places too.
World of Concrete. What else? IWF in Atlanta, AWFS in Vegas, the host of Workbench Con, Weekend with Wood coming up with Wood Magazine, Catskill Maker Camp, and a bunch of others.
Ooh, how are the shows going this year since you can't really travel? Like, are you just staying put at home now, or what's the dealio?
It really depends on the different shows. Everything's obviously going digital, and just trying to figure out that new market and how best to do it. I am a very much of a in-person handshake kind of guy, and it's interesting doing it on online. As you can see, I'm not very technological. That's why we're running 10 minutes late, because I couldn't figure out how to get the link going. So
That's all good.
I'm figuring it out as we're going, but. If people want to be interested in things, and I want to make people interested in things, so I will continue to make that connection any way I can.
Of course, and that's how we know each other. So how long have you been doing this?
So I've had my own furniture company since 2008. So
12 years.
12, 13 years.
Wow.
A little while now.
And then have you always been doing furniture or doing woodworking and renovations, or what did you do before all that?
I have had a very long and interesting career. I have always subscribed to the same feeling that little kids do when you say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And they're like, "A firefighter, a unicorn, an astronaut." And it's whatever.
I don't know if unicorn's one of them, but
always. And it's like, what do you want to do? And I just want to do something that entertains me, that I enjoy, and life is short, and I don't want to spend it doing something that I don't want to do. So I worked in advertising. I had a music career. I worked in commercial interior design for Macy's and Calvin Klein and Sony. I sold Christmas trees in the West Village. I had a stuffed animal company, getting them produced in China. I did a lot of stuff, and I decided that I didn't want to send stuff overseas. I didn't want to have a boss. I didn't want to have to send stuff up a supply chain. And I thought, furniture, that's great. I love being a salesman, and I build my own furniture. And in the morning, I have raw materials, and I work through it all the way to the end of the day, and I have an actual piece of something. So it excited me, and I haven't really looked back. I've been transitioning into different parts of it, like the content and the event hosting, but still furniture, I enjoy it.
That's amazing. So what did you do? Did you just buy some wood one day and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna grab a bunch of tools and start sanding stuff and just start trying it out? Or did you go to somebody to kind of learn these skills, and little by little that you just kind of did your own thing?
Yeah, a little bit of a combination of both. I am self-taught. I didn't go to school for it, but at the same time, I needed to learn the business side of it, and also some of the basics of the furniture world. So I quit my jobs. I started an unpaid internship or apprenticeship at a furniture company, worked my way up to a full-time job, went to a different place, worked my way up to shop foreman there, and then I was working 8 to 5 for them. and then 5 till 2 in the morning I was renting their space working on my own stuff. And I did that for a long time until my stuff eclipsed working for somebody else, and I have not looked back since.
That's the real hustle right there when you go through all those different experience to finally do your own thing. I didn't even know
Hmm.
you had that extensive thing. I just, I don't even know how you got to there. It's interesting.
Well, that's why. Well, I'm glad you're tuning in to this interview.
So, how was it like when you first started your own business and you started making that furniture? Like, did you already think that you've accumulated that experience through marketing and sales that you're gonna be doing the same thing of how you're gonna push your product out to go into museums, to go into be like art pieces? What was that? Was that your whole thought process to begin with?
Like I said before, I really like being a salesman, whether it's selling somebody else's stuff or my own stuff. So I really, I've always had that in me and that desire to put stuff out into the world like that. Um, I think even to this day, and all entrepreneurs and all people who work for themselves will say that, where you think but you don't really know how to run the business properly, because every single day is a new challenge. And so I thought that I had the framework, and I've been working on it ever since, basically.
Interesting. I had a question pop up in my head. So, for us plumbers, we always have these things called putting out fires because let's just say there's a leak somewhere or the heat's not working or we install something and it's not working. So, what's considered a fire in like your industry? Would it be something you've built, something that has a problem, or what can you tell me about that?
Um, I guess the fire would be, well, obviously deadlines. Deadlines are always important, and making the deadlines, which is sometimes hard. But I guess the equivalent of a fire would be getting that email 6 months, 8 months later saying, something is wrong with the table, something is wrong with the piece of furniture. Furniture is a very strange trade, because you're an electrician, you're a plumber, and obviously no disrespect to any of the other trades, but like you do something, you put it, and then you like put it in a wall or you hide it, and there should not be any issues with that. Furniture is something where people are living with it every single day, and they are interacting with it, and it is a physical thing in their lives, and it's very hard to draw a line between
The
the
warranty, I
amount
assume.
of in what'd you say?
Like at the warranty as well, I'd assume.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very hard. Yeah, I'll install 10 tables in an office building, and a year later I'll get a call and they'll say, hey, one of the tables is sagging. I say, oh no, what happened? And they'll be like, well, we had an office party, and we had 6 people dancing on it, and it pulled out from the wall a little bit. And you have to say, hey, that's sort of not really what it was intended for, but at the same time, it's it's living in the physical space, and things like that happen. So I'd say that's the type of fire that you have to deal with, and it's never really the extent of the toilets overflowing, or there's
yeah.
actually a physical fire, or there's no heat, but people don't like to have furniture messed up, so you definitely have to deal with it.
So when that happens, how do you warranty that certain issue? Like, do you just go back and fix it on the spot, or do you just kind of say, hey, you're SOL because kind of like it was not meant for that situation?
Yeah. Customer service is really what I built my brand on, and why I've been so successful over the years. So I'm never like, well, for the most part, I will never say you're on your own. There are different categories and different clients and different projects that I base it on, how interactive I am with the fix. So that's really a case by case basis. But customer service, like I said, is really what I've built my name on and my legacy on. So I am, I my name is on every piece of furniture, so I stand behind it.
That makes a lot of sense, and I would say the same for all work that we both do. Um, So my next question to you is, I know that furniture making, there's a lot of different techniques that are involved in this kind of thing, and the ones that I kind of see you use a lot. I wouldn't say it's a technique, but something special. Yeah, you like to add butterflies to your tables. You've done epoxy. I've seen some furniture where you do crisscrosses with the wood to make some different designs on it. And some of them I don't even know, but what would you say is your favorite one that you like working on a lot of the times? Or do you just try to find something different each time to kind of best the last one?
Yeah, I don't really like to pigeonhole myself in a style, in a design aesthetic. I really like to build what I enjoy, and I've been lucky enough that the stuff that I enjoy just happens to be enjoyed by a lot of other people, and that's why I keep making furniture. I don't stick to a specific style. Like you said, I jump around to a lot of different things. So it's really whatever catches my eye, and I try and come up with new. I try and come up with new pieces of my collection every year, twice a year, and sometimes I build on existing styles, and sometimes I just go somewhere else. And the ones that work, I keep going with, and the ones that don't work, you will never see again.
How has epoxy done for you actually? Because I've done a few epoxy projects myself, and I'm curious how it works in that industry where you're kind of making tables but adding more onto it. Because a lot of people just do flatbed tables with full epoxy, but you're kind of like half and half on everything. So for me, I feel like epoxy is kind of tough to work with. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, epoxy is a very new situation for me, and something that I'm excited about. I mean, I've just been sort of, I haven't taken it, I haven't taken it necessarily into the professional realm. I'm still using it in my, I'm still excited about it and still experimenting with it and seeing where I can take it and what I can add a twist onto it too. Um, I've been making molds of things. I've been making smaller tables. I have a lot of really exciting stuff coming up with Total Boat that I'm not going to talk about here because it's all secret. But stay tuned, and you'll see it very soon.
I'll
But
keep
yeah,
watching.
just really trying to push the boundaries with what it can do.
Is Towboat the one that does the epoxy that you use the epoxy from?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm mostly using Total Boat. I really enjoy their company, and I really enjoy all the products they make. They have a giant range that, if you're being experimental, then you want as many different options as possible, and they bring a lot of options to the table.
Are they selling on our end yet, like up north in
Yeah, you can
Canada?
buy it online. Yeah, you can
Okay.
buy it. You can buy it anywhere.
I would like to try it. I mean, there's a few ones that I tried. Like I tried art resin. Um, well, obviously, because that's the Amazon one when I first started, and that one was kind of fun, but it's a lot thicker to work with. So
Hmm.
for pieces that are kind of like more wonky and they're not too level like plywood, I'd say, because sometimes I pour on plywood, it worked really
Hmm.
well. But then when I used the other one, which was epoxy something, I forgot what it was called. It was for deeper pours. What I found out was it actually ran a lot faster. So when I had the plywood, it just kept dripping everywhere, and it turns out I actually had to make an actual station for it a lot of times versus if I were to work with art resin. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
they have specific deep pour ones. They have all types of stuff. So I would definitely recommend checking them out.
I definitely would. It's a complicated one. But my next question to you is: you do a lot of pictures with mascots. So do you have like an official mascot? So we're talking about penguins. I've seen tigers. I've seen I don't know a lot of animals. But would you say the penguin is your main mascot for when you're working?
Um, I get that question a lot, and I actually like penguins are great. They're very cool animals. They're not like my favorite animals.
Penguins are great.
People send me penguin things all the time, and I guess by default I am now associated with it. But um, I'm a big animal guy. I like a lot of animals. I had a penguin in my shop, and I just started taking pictures with it. And if it was a different animal or something else, then I would have probably gone with that. But this penguin has sort of found a home in a lot of my content, and we'll see. It's growing on a lot of people.
I love it. I love the penguin myself. That's the first thing I notice when you do it. It's either your face or the penguin. You know, there's the face of Ethan on a table where you're smashing your own face, or it's the penguin itself.
Well, you gotta. There's a lot of the same stuff out there, and there's I will. I'm a big fan of anyone who does any type of content. I think the more the merrier, and I'm excited to see exciting content. But sometimes I feel like I want to stand out a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's me doing something a little bit funny, a little bit off. Maybe a little penguin shows up once or twice, or some other animal, and it sort of distinguishes the post when you're scrolling through. Then
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do.
That's what makes Ethan Ethan, right? Not some other
Mhm.
woodworking guy.
Mhm.
So when I've seen some of the videos of the pictures of you making furniture, I'm curious of what the timeline and the thought process usually is. So like from the thought process of buying material to making and finishing it, how long does a piece of furniture usually take you to make? If you're
Mm,
actually doing a client piece or if you're actually doing a really experimental piece, I know those times kind of vary, but what's the average time?
yeah. Like you said, the times vary, and it really depends on the project. And I'm doing a bedside table is going to be a lot quicker than doing a 14-foot dining room table. I really pride myself on having fast turnarounds, and our shop really turns things around as fast as possible. So we're usually looking at 4 to 6 week turnaround time for any piece of furniture that gets ordered, which is it's very good for the industry.
And do you make more than one piece of that furniture usually, or do you just try to kind of make it like a special piece where there's only one of that kind? Or how does that industry work when you're talking about custom pieces sometimes?
Well, for the collection of furniture, anything that you see on my website under collection, we make a lot of those and are turning those out. I do custom versions of them, but usually it's the same design and in the same basic sizing and look. For the custom pieces, it can be anything. I do one-offs. I'll do a one-off table. I'll do 20 different chairs for a restaurant. It really depends on the client and what they're looking for. So we are a full service design build studio, and anything you bring, whether it is a super classic chest of drawers, all the way up to I don't know, some weird stuff, a pirate ship, a kid's pirate ship with a climbing wall on it. I
Wow.
design it, build it, deliver it, and go from there.
And is this all like a one man show that you do, or do you have like several people helping you at the same time?
I have people in the shop that I work with. Over the years, it's gone all the way up to 5 people. Sometimes it goes down to just one or two. Sometimes part time, but really depends on the type of projects and the space that I'm in.
Mm, fascinating. So much like all trades, there has to be some things that you absolutely love doing, and there has to be something that you don't like doing. Because I can tell you in plumbing, there's some things I like to do and some things I don't. Is there anything the same that you would say about in your type of trade where you just don't want to touch that stuff, but it's still part of it?
Floating shelves, I would say. Floating shelves they are designed for disaster from the concept to the execution. If you're not in there at the beginning before drywall goes up and can't get into your studs and put everything up, then I don't want to touch it. So floating shelves is something that I do not. I wash my hands of, and I send those to anyone else that
Interesting.
is
So,
looking
so
that is looking to build them.
so you so you're saying that literally you actually have to be there before the drywall and stuff go in as well, or
That's how I like to do it. I like to know exactly what I'm putting my anchors into and my supports, and that way
I see.
I don't necessarily have to put it in, but I want to know what's there, and I want to make sure, because I don't want to get those, fire calls later. These shelves are sagging because once they go, they go.
Yeah.
And if I'm standing behind my work, I want to guarantee it, and I don't guarantee floating shelves. So,
No, that makes sense. That honestly, that's the first time I've heard of it. I mean, I've seen floating shelves everywhere, but I'm sure like some people like it, some people don't, and I'm sure you know a lot more than on that, and I might think twice about floating shelves now.
Feel free to do your own. Just don't put my name on it.
No, I get what you mean. I'm trying to renovate my place right now, and I think we're going with floating as well. But it's interesting to hear your thoughts on it, as that's what you do every day, right? So learn something. But what's something that you do like doing? Other, like, if you don't like floating shelves, what's something that you do like doing? Would it just? Sorry, go ahead. Take it away.
Um, there, you know, there's a lot. I like what I do. I'm not saying that there's some days that I wake up and I'm pissed off that I have to go to work. I can't say that there's days that I, get frustrated on a job, that I don't want to be building stuff, that I'd rather be at the beach than, sanding 80 grit to 120 for, a live edge table or something like that. But, I know, and this goes back to working for myself and the reason that I want to do it. I know that I've put myself in this position, and I know that I am, the master of my own destiny, and any work that I'm putting in is pushing myself forward and pushing my name forward and pushing my brand forward and my company forward. So not saying that at times I don't hate it, but I love it more
You love it.
than,
So you
yeah,
practice. You would practically say you love the process in general. Is
well,
what you.
I love the idea of pushing forward my own stuff.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. 100%. You just want to be able to build something and be able to look back at what you build, and that's what you like to do every day. I mean, if you didn't like doing it, you wouldn't be doing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. When you work, you could very easily, I could very easily go work for somebody else, and I could work 9 to 5, and I could finish the day, and I could have a beer and not think about any of the client issues or anything like that. But that's just not for me, and I just don't enjoy that. I'd rather have the hustle and the hardships and all
Yeah.
the joys that come with it than, you know, not be the master of my own destiny.
But was it always your thought to be like the first thing when you start learning all of that to actually start your own business from day one, or did it just come? Okay, so you had that whole mindset ever since you started at an intern to really do your own thing in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. I've been surrounded by entrepreneurs and business owners my entire life, and people who work for themselves, and it's always something that has been there in my mind, and has never been there. There had never been a question, no matter what job I was doing, that I would always work for somebody else. It was always, this is a means to an end to get myself to doing my own thing.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty lengthy process because I knew a friend of mine. He wanted to make furniture for a while, but in the end, he did not kind of follow through on that passion because I think he just said it was a lot harder than he thought it was.
Yes, it's
Um,
very hard. Yeah.
and yeah, and seeing what you do today, it's amazing because I've seen him go through the work and him telling me on how much of the work he's done, and for what you've done and what you have so far, it's amazing. It is a great progress. But for other people who want to get into this kind of trade or industry or want to start their own business as a furniture maker, woodworker, whatsoever, what kind of tips or what kind of words of wisdom can you provide them?
If anyone's ever heard me talk about this, I teach at colleges and I do talks a lot at events and things like that. If you have the skills and the designs and you want to be a furniture maker and you have that creative drive in you, that can't be taught. And yes, you can learn how to use the basic tools and how to use tools and stuff like that, but the creativity and the design is just something that's in you, and you're going to have it or you're not going to have it. What you're not going to have is business skills. So you need to learn the actual business of it. You need to learn what a P&L is. You need to learn how to run a business, how to file taxes, how to deal with employees, how to deal with contracts, because no one gets into furniture making to make a ton of money. It's a hard profession, and it is a thankless profession at times. You get into it because you love the creative process, you love the physical building of it, But there are people who are a lot better furniture makers than me, but just did not learn the business side of it. And you can't run a business without knowing where the money goes, and you can't run a business without, you know, dealing with contracts and all that stuff. So I would definitely say learn the business side just as strongly or even more strongly as the furniture side when you're starting out.
True that, and that's words of wisdom with Ethan. So on top of that, of asking you all those questions, I do want to bring us back to Instagram a little bit because I told you I'd be sharing an Instagram picture I have with you already. And part of the picture that I do want to show, I'm going to click up onto the link right now for the people to see, is you sitting on a tarp and your arms on a chair. This goes way back. I think you said it, even I've seen it as on 2013. So there's not too much about it other than it says it was for the WAG magazine, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Tell me something about that and where were you going and what was happening at this time?
So that is a photo shoot for a magazine. WAG is Westchester something something. I think, I don't know. It's 2013. I think it starts with. I think it's Westchester. Somebody can fact check me on that. It was I moved my shop from Brooklyn up to Westchester, just 4 times the price. I mean, 4 times the space, quarter the price. It just made sense business wise, and so I started to make inroads with people there and magazines. So that was a photo shoot for a interview I was having, and that is actually my Irving chair that they have there, which was the first collection piece that I made, and that got back when it was produced, it got picked up by the Wall Street Journal and named one of the 6 best wooden chairs on the market that year, and that was something that really propelled me into thinking that I could do this for myself. So that was that picture is an interview, and I was a young, spry.
Oh, you look very young.
Something. Yeah, I look very young.
How old were you there?
2013. I don't know. How many years ago was that?
That's about 7 years ago.
So I was 28, 29, I guess.
Wow. That has come a long way. And you said you started your own business in, 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was when was that one of the first chairs that you've made, or was it like, how should I say?
Yep, that was the first. I had been doing custom stuff, and then that was the first collection piece, like official collection piece that I put my name on.
Wow. How did they find that? Did you have to kind of enter a contest or something, or did you just put it into a museum for people to see, and that's how it got chosen, or how was the process in being
it's been featured in the Brooklyn Museum, but I do a lot of shows, Architectural Digest, Design Home Show, and ICFF, International Contemporary Furniture Fair, both in New York, and they're like the first and second biggest furniture shows in the country. It just so happens that they're in my backyard, so I'm very lucky, but I believe they saw it from there.
Nice. So I guess when you started, would you say one of the biggest things of cost and money wise would just be trying to get your art piece into these museums whatsoever, or what was the hardest thing about starting your business back in the day?
Probably making money. Yeah, furniture making is you have to have a space. You have to have, even though you can do stuff in small spaces and you can do stuff with small amount of tools, you really need a dedicated space, and you need dedicated tools, and it's loud and it's messy. So yeah, space is always a hard thing. I was lucky to be able to rent the shop that I was working at full time, so that was a nice piece for me to do. But that was, space was one of the harder things in the beginning.
Oh, well, it still happened. I mean, you're still here today, so definitely.
I'm still here today.
How many of your pieces have won awards so far?
I have been in my press page. I'm very thankful. Is very nicely filled up. I have been in like I said, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Newsday, Vogue,
Vogue,
Architectural
nice.
Digest, um, The Knot, Country Living,
That's amazing. Just can't
a
even
lot of
count them
different
all.
ones. Yeah, you can check it out on my website, ethanabramson.com, and you can see them all.
Definitely. You've heard the man. We are at the end of our interview, and thank you, Ethan, once again for coming out today for Coffee with Impetus. I mean, there wasn't much coffee involved, but I was drinking at the same time. But for the last little bit, just share whatever you want with the people. For sure that you guys just heard Ethan. He has his store, so Ethan, maybe just drop that link down again, and then at the end of the show, I'm just gonna put it up on YouTube and all the streams to make sure that people can see it.
Of course, anyone can check my furniture out at ethanabramson.com, on social at The Builds with Ethan, and yeah, that's it.
Yep, his link is right below his name on that. If you want a sticker with him or a sticker trade, that's him. And that is it for the show. So, Ethan, thanks once again for coming in for the show. Next week
Of
would
course.
be episode 15. I don't know who I have then, but for now, thank you for your time, Ethan. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
All right, you have a good week. Thank you.
Sure. See you later.
See you later. And there you have it. That is Ethan Abramson with the Build with Ethan. A little bit different from the shows that we've had so far. I like to bring a lot of plumbers in. I like to bring something to do with heating, things to do with manufacturer sales, all that kind of jazz. But, I just want to bring the show up a little bit to be different from the rest. And I wouldn't say the rest to kind of compete, but I just want to make it a bit more special where we can feature different guests and just learn about businesses in general, because there's a lot of, I wouldn't say shade, but there's a lot of misconceptions on how different trades work, right? So without turning to a furniture worker or a woodworker, I wouldn't know what it's like to be one and how they started their process, because the only process that we keep learning about is, how to be a plumber, how we should build, how we should do this, how we should do that. But it's interesting to really get to that point of, finding more people for Coffee of Impetus, because we want to make it more special. We want to make it about business. We want to make it about people. We want to make it about connections. We want to make it about, sharing experiences. So next week, I don't know who I'm going to have yet, but it will be a banger, just like always, or at least I think it's a banger. But thanks again for tuning in to the show for episode 14 this week. I'm not sure how many episodes it is anymore, but I'll see you next week, and thanks for tuning in. And one more thing, on I think Wednesday or the end of this week, the version 2 t-shirts, or any version whatever t-shirts, are coming in. So and the hats are restocking, so if you guys are interested in those, I thank you for the support ahead of time, but those things are going to be hella fire. So see